On my 23rd birthday, Ethan Walker showed up with his childhood sweetheart to celebrate me. I thanked them sincerely, but then, out of nowhere, he broke up with me on the spot. My brother, worried I might fall into depression over love, sent me to Europe for 3 years. When I came back, Ethan was already married. My friends came to the airport to pick me up, and unbelievably, Ethan came too. The same man who had dumped me in front of everyone 3 years ago suddenly had tears in his eyes. Zoe Carter, these 3 years. Did you really never think of me? After 3 years away, I finally returned to this city. I took my luggage, and the moment I stepped out of the gate, I saw a crowd waiting. At the front was my best friend, Lily Adams, who rushed forward and wrapped me in a solid hug. Welcome home, our star designer Zoe. Everyone laughed and joked, and I greeted them one by one, but my eyes couldn't help drifting past them to where Ethan stood. He still looked the same, tall and straight, still favoring black overcoats, handsome yet distant. The group was lively, but he stood quietly, his gaze fixed on me. Lily leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Who knows why he's here? We didn't even invite him in the group chat." I pulled my gaze back, but the memory of my birthday 3 years ago flashed in my mind. Ethan breaking up with me so abruptly, just because when Monica West handed me a birthday gift, I smiled and politely declined. In his eyes, that meant I was looking down on her for being ordinary. Before I could shake off that painful memory, Ethan had already pushed through the crowd to stand in front of me. His eyes were red, his voice unsteady, and he was holding a cashmere scarf. "Long time no see. It's gotten cold here. I know you never check the weather in advance, so I brought you a scarf. Put it on before you go out." It was a classic plaid, the style I used to love most. Instinctively I stepped back, putting more distance between us. "No thanks, I'm not cold." His hand still holding the scarf, froze in midair, his face showing both awkwardness and hurt. "You're still angry, aren't you? These past 3 years you never contacted me once. Zoe, not even once did you think of me? Not once?" His words were almost laughable. 3 years ago, he was the one who broke up with me, not the other way around. Before I could reply, one of my friends beside me finally couldn't take it anymore. "Mr. Walker, listen to yourself," he said with a forced smile. "You're a married man now, and you've already taken over the Walker family business. If a reporter saw this and spread it around, it wouldn't be good for your reputation, would it?" I seized the moment, locking my eyes on Ethan. "I heard you married Monica a year ago, and now you're standing here like this. Does she know?" Ethan's face turned pale instantly. He stepped closer, lowered his voice until only I could hear, and murmured, "I'm sorry. I never really wanted to marry her." I turned my head slightly, replying in a voice just as quiet. "You didn't want to marry her, yet 3 years ago you broke up with me because of her. Ethan, you really do take love for granted." I hadn't even said it harshly. Put nicely, it was taking love for granted. Put bluntly, it was wanting the best of both worlds. Ethan quickly looked away, raising the scarf again, as though to cover his embarrassment. "Zoe, look, it's your favorite brand and style." I remembered. I bought it long ago and held on to it, waiting for you to come back. It was true I'd loved that brand years ago, but I had long since stopped. My friends surrounded me and guided me toward the exit, leaving Ethan to his humiliation. We had just reached the airport doors when, the moment I stepped outside, a syrupy voice rang out. "Zoe, I heard you came back to the country. I came here especially to pick you up." Monica West walked straight toward me, dressed head to toe in the latest Chanel suit. Her makeup was flawless, and her smile radiated smug triumph. But then her eyes fell immediately on Ethan Walker, standing behind me and on the plaid scarf in his hand. Her smile faltered. "Looks like I came at the wrong time." Lily Adams exploded on the spot. She blocked me with her body and fired back at Monica without hesitation. "Of course it's the wrong time. When have you ever shown up at the right time? With that fake smile plastered on your face, you're disgusting to look at. 3 years ago you stole Zoe's boyfriend, and then who knows what shady tricks you used to marry into the Walker family. From a nobody, suddenly you turn into a so-called phoenix." Lily's words were sharp and fast, cutting without mercy. Monica's face darkened into an ugly, blotchy shade. Our mutual friend Mason Wu hurried forward to hold Lily back. "Lily, enough. Watch what you say. Remember, she's Ethan's wife now." If he gets mad, what happens to the contract your family's counting on? And if he takes it out on Zoe, wouldn't your good intentions backfire? As soon as Mason finished, the stiffness in Monica's face, twisted from the insult, smoothed away. Instead of getting angry, she suddenly laughed, as though she just heard the funniest joke in the world. Lily? What are you talking about? Why would I ever need shady tricks? When Ethan proposed to me, the whole city saw the drones in the sky spelling out his love. Not like some people who dated for years and still walked away empty-handed. The air froze instantly, silence rippling out over the crowd. Monica was clearly satisfied with the effect she created. Then, as if just noticing, her eyes landed on the scarf in Ethan's hand. She feigned surprise. "Oh, Ethan, isn't that the scarf I bought for you just a few days ago? I told you to give it to our foreign partner you were meeting at the airport, remember? I said the weather's gotten colder here and it'd be a nice gesture from the Walker family. Why are you still holding on to it? Did you not meet them?" A foreign partner. So he wasn't here to pick me up at all, and that scarf hadn't been prepared for me. I raised my eyes to look at Ethan, but he avoided my gaze, fumbling a cigarette out of his pocket with trembling hands. He lit it, the pale smoke curling around his face, making him look even more defeated. He took a drag, his voice hoarse. "Monica, don't go too far." But the warning was feeble, weightless, carrying no force. Monica immediately trotted up and wrapped herself around his arm, pressing close, her voice sickeningly sweet. "Oh, I knew you'd never really be mad at me. You love me too much." She shook his arm lightly, then turned her head toward me with a smile brimming with pride. "Miss Carter, I'm so sorry you had to see that." When I got home, my brother Lucas had already brewed hot ginger tea, waiting for me. He had heard all about the airport fiasco from Mason. "You did the right thing, Zoe. Just treat those two as if they're invisible. Ignore them completely." His brows knitted tightly as he muttered, "That idiot Ethan and that Monica, neither of them are any good." I sipped the ginger tea slowly. Warmth slid down my throat into my stomach, chasing away the chill that had clung to me from the airport. Lucas watched me closely, and when he saw that I was still fairly calm, he finally spoke again. "Ethan really did propose to Monica a year ago." He gave a short, scornful laugh, his tone dripping with disdain. Before Ethan proposed, Monica's family practically camped out at the Walker estate every day, making a scene and claiming she was pregnant with Ethan's child. The Walkers, being a family obsessed with saving face, had no choice but to accept it. They made a huge spectacle out of the proposal. Drones in the sky, front-page coverage, the whole show, terrified that people might not know about it. Lucas paused, leaned in closer, and lowered his voice. "But here's the funny part. Over the past year, there hasn't been the slightest sign of pregnancy from Monica." I set my teacup down, and the faint stir of emotions in my chest went completely still. So that was it. Monica had faked a pregnancy. "So, do you need your brother's help?" Lucas raised his brows, flexing his wrists like he was ready for action. "Should I make them divorce? Or maybe stir up trouble in their business? Just say the word and I'll handle it." His eager expression made me laugh. "No, Lucas. A good horse doesn't go back to graze on old grass, especially not on a muddle-headed one like Ethan Walker." I met his eyes calmly. "Besides, I already met someone I like in Europe." Lucas blinked, then all his worry vanished, replaced by unrestrained delight. He slapped his thigh. "Didn't I say so? Back then, Mom and Dad wouldn't let you go to Europe alone, saying it wasn't safe for a girl. It was me who insisted you should go. And look, my judgment was right on the mark." My brother was basking in his self-proclaimed wisdom for barely 2 days when someone from the Walker family came knocking. It was Ethan's mother, Mrs. Walker. She brought expensive jewelry and sat on our sofa with her posture low, speaking earnestly as she apologized for Ethan's behavior 3 years ago. "Zoe, dear, I know our Ethan wronged you. He was deceived by that woman Monica, who claimed she was pregnant and forced him into marriage. We were kept completely in the dark. Ethan has suffered terribly this past year. He's lost his appetite, looks so worn down, always depressed." She grasped my hand, her eyes even glistening red. I pulled my hand back slowly. "Really? Because when I saw him at the airport the other day, he looked a lot sturdier than 3 years ago." The grief on Mrs. Walker's face froze, leaving her awkward and at a loss for words. He's been exercising, That's all. Building muscle, it's just muscle. I smiled lightly. Mrs. Walker, I understand why you came and I appreciate the effort, but I already have someone I love. He'll be returning to the country soon and will be getting engaged shortly. As I spoke, I watched her face stiffen little by little. After she left, Lucas shook his head with a snort. The Walkers really have no shame. Do they think they can bribe you back with a handful of gold trinkets? I quietly tidied up the tea set, my mood steady. I'm guessing Ethan put her up to this, trying to test where I stand. Lucas narrowed his eyes. And what you said about getting engaged, was that just to spite them? I only smiled without answering. The next morning, Lily called me in a panic. Zoe, check the local trending search right now. Still half asleep, I opened my phone. Trending at number 8 on the city's financial news list was a headline: Heiress Zoe Carter, dumped 3 years ago, seeks reconciliation with Ethan Walker upon return. Clicking in, I saw a flood of posts from local gossip accounts, all claiming I had reached out to the Walkers wanting to reconcile. There were even blurry photos, taken just yesterday when Mrs. Walker visited my home. The captions spun it as though it were fact. Insider reveals Zoe Carter deeply regrets breaking up with Ethan. After returning, she reached out to the Walkers to rekindle things. The Walker family personally visited her home, and the two sides had a pleasant conversation. I let out a bitter laugh. On the other end of the call, Lily cursed furiously. This reeks of the Walkers' dogs. Absolutely disgusting. Everyone knows it was them who came crawling to you first. They didn't get their way, so now they're flipping the story, claiming you wanted to reconcile. The comment section is flooded with insults, saying you couldn't make it abroad and came back to be a mistress. I scrolled through the comments. They were indeed unbearable to read, though there were also many reasonable people defending me, pointing out that the rumor was obviously fake. Don't worry, Lily said quickly. Get dressed. With all the connections we have, do you really think we can't handle this? As I stepped downstairs, I suddenly spotted Ethan Walker leaning against his car, waiting. He was still in that same black overcoat, but his face looked even more worn than a few days ago, his stubble showing. The moment he saw me, he rushed forward. Zoe, those rumors online, I've already had people working on shutting them down. That wasn't from my family. It was Monica. His voice was hoarse, as though he hadn't slept all night. Don't be angry, Monica. Maybe she was manipulated by someone else. She didn't mean to target you. I stopped walking and looked him up and down. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? He froze. Yesterday your mother came to my house. Aside from your family and mine, who else knew about it? If Monica didn't get word straight from you, how would she know the details so clearly? And even if, let's take the most generous assumption, even if she was being manipulated, then as her husband, you can't even control your own wife. What right do you have to say anything to me? My words drained the color from his face. Zoe, step aside. I have things to do. He hurried after me, almost pleading. Please believe me, I'll handle this. Monica's emotions are unstable right now. None of us can push her too hard. I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at him. And my emotions? Did it ever occur to you how shameless it is for you to come and push me? Zoe, listen to me, it's not what you think. 3 years ago at your birthday party I was wrong. But can't you just hear me out once? I crossed my arms and stared coldly at him. He swallowed hard, his voice tightening. Monica had just graduated then. The West family's business was collapsing, nearly bankrupt. And her mother was suddenly diagnosed with late-stage stomach cancer. She needed money urgently. Monica wanted to use your birthday party to meet people, to find potential investors who could help her family. But you rejected her gift in front of everyone. I know you didn't mean anything by it, but to others it looked like you were looking down on her, humiliating her in public. She was already on the verge of breaking down. I didn't want her to take another hit, so in that moment of impulse, I broke up with you. His Adam's apple bobbed as his voice grew more strained. I just wanted to ease her pain a little, Zoe. I didn't realize you would be even more resolute than I imagined. By the next day, when I wanted to explain and apologize, your brother had already put you on a plane to Europe. You blocked all my contacts. I could only send you emails. Zoe, I sent hundreds of them. You never replied to a single one. I listened quietly until he finished. Yes, I had seen those emails. Every single one was filled with emotion and memories. But so what? He had humiliated me in front of everyone, all to protect another woman. He made me into the biggest joke of all. And now he thought a few words of explanation could erase everything? I don't need a man who stabbed me in the back for another woman and then came running back in tears saying he loved me. Not only do I not need that, I resent it. Ethan Walker, your explanation is truly touching. But Monica was your childhood sweetheart. When her family's business collapsed and her mother fell gravely ill, instead of reaching out your own hand to help, you let her crash my birthday party, trying to steal attention. When she failed, you stepped in yourself, publicly siding with her in front of all my friends and breaking up with me. Tell me, Ethan, if you wanted to win or lose so badly, why make it so complicated? His face went white, lips trembling. After a long pause, he managed to squeeze out one weak line. Monica. She didn't want my help. Oh, I see. I gave a sharp, bitter laugh. How noble. And yet, this oh-so-proud Miss West later schemed to trap you with a fake pregnancy, just to marry into your family. Funny how her standards changed, isn't it? Ethan recoiled a step, panic flickering in his eyes. That was the West family. That was Monica's family who did that, not her. I cut him off coldly. And now what? You'll tell me this smear campaign online was also her family's doing, and Monica had no idea? He was speechless, his once sharp features now etched with helplessness. I had no patience left. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic. I turned away and called into the villa. Mrs. Wang, get a few people and throw him out. Later, at Lily Adams's apartment, the heater was running high, yet she paced back and forth like a restless fly. Zoe, what are we going to do about this news? I walked straight to the window and dialed an international number. When the line connected, I switched languages, my tone steady. Alex, I'll be back in China after tomorrow. Great, I'll be waiting, but before we meet up, there's a message I need you to handle. After hanging up, I turned and met Lily's wide-eyed stare. Zoe Carter, since when is your English this fluent? I remember back in college you could barely stammer through an exam. I lowered my gaze to the phone screen, where Alex's gentle smile filled the profile photo I'd set for him. I met someone in Europe. His name is Alex. He's British. When we were together, he'd listen patiently to my clumsy broken English and correct me over and over. With a teacher like that, of course I improved. And honestly, after breaking up with Ethan, if I hadn't met Alex in that bar, I might not have gotten through it so quickly. Lily blinked, then stomped her foot hard. Unbelievable. Look at the mess we're in, and you're standing here talking about romance? Don't you see? Monica clearly wants to destroy you this time. I looked up and gave her a calming smile. This is me handling it. Alex is one of Europe's top white-hat hackers. If he sends Monica a single link embedded with a Trojan, we'll get every shred of evidence, her messages, her fake accounts, the records of her hiring bots to smear me. Lily's shock turned into hesitation. But Monica went to college. She's not stupid. You think she'll click some random link from a strange number? That's impossible. You're right, I said calmly. She'd never fall for it from just anyone. But what if the text comes from me? And what if the link contains a full recording of the conversation Ethan and I just had at my villa gate? Tell me, do you think Monica will click then? 2 days later, a storm swept through the city's social media. The headlines blared. Walker Group's vice president still longs for the ex-girlfriend he abandoned 3 years ago, old love rekindled, and the gossip spread as though it were gospel truth. They even attached the blurry photos of Ethan Walker stopping me at the airport, trying to hand me that scarf. The wording between the lines all hinted that he still had feelings for me, that he was willing to divorce for my sake. But those posts, I was the one who had them published. Since Ethan wanted to act as though he was deeply in love, I would help him out, publicizing his so-called devotion while also striking back at Monica. I wanted everyone to see clearly. It wasn't me clinging to Ethan, it was Ethan who wouldn't stop chasing after me. The effect was immediate. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Monica. Time Cafe, 3rd floor, private room. Let's talk. So, she finally couldn't hold back and had clicked on the little gift I sent. Inside the cafe's private room, Monica sat across from me and slammed her phone heavily onto the table. Zoe Carter, You really didn't come back with good intentions. You chose to leave 3 years ago, so why come back now? I lifted the glass of lemon water in front of me and swirled it slowly. Maybe I just wanted to see what kind of life certain people managed to live while I was gone. She bristled instantly. What do you mean by that? I mean, I said evenly, if I hadn't come back, I might never have known that your marriage was a fraud from the very beginning. Monica's face drained of color. If you hadn't returned, Ethan would never have brought up divorce. Ah, so that's it. Now that he wants to divorce you, you're scared. I leaned back, smiling faintly. Monica, if there's one thing Ethan despises most, it's the scheming and greed of your family. But with you, he still has a trace of old affection. You did grow up together after all. Her eyes flickered, clearly shaken by my words. I leaned forward slightly, lowering my voice as if sincerely giving her advice. If you truly want to save this marriage, I'll point you in the right direction. First, cut all ties with your parasitic family. Second, my gaze dropped deliberately to her flat stomach. Carry a child for real. Once you're pregnant, even if Ethan wants to leave, do you think his parents will agree? The room fell into silence. Monica stared at the untouched coffee, deep in thought. By the time I left the cafe, dusk had already fallen. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It was Lily, bombarding me with messages asking how things had gone. I typed back only 2 words. Handled it. I thought the Walkers would immediately launch a massive PR campaign, issuing denials across every platform and painting Ethan as the poor victim, hounded by his obsessive ex-girlfriend. It would have been the coldest but also the smartest strategy. But I had underestimated just how obsessed Ethan Walker still was with me. The very next morning, using his verified account, he published a public apology. He didn't tag anyone, but every word was clearly aimed at me. 3 years ago, I impulsively hurt her. In these 3 years, I have never forgotten her. Like a stone dropped into the sea, the post stirred up countless waves. That heartfelt apology made all the rumors I'd seeded look indisputably true. The vice president of Walker Group still longs for his ex-girlfriend, driven mad by love. How moving. And just like that, I was instantly painted as the woman wrecking someone else's marriage, condemned by all. The phone call came from my father. Zoe, come home. Back at the Carter estate, the air was ice cold. My father slammed the financial newspaper onto the coffee table. The front page bore Ethan's face, brimming with supposed devotion. That bastard. My father's chest heaved with fury. If he had posted a statement to clarify things, I might have respected him as a man. But this, what the hell is this? With one move, he's thrown 2 women into the fire. Is this love? No, this is him destroying your reputation. He paced furiously across the living room, his anger reverberating through every step. In business, Ethan Walker was always decisive and ruthless, a man who moved fast and struck hard. Yet when it came to relationships, he turned into a brainless kid, hopelessly foolish. My father suddenly stopped pacing, his chest rising and falling. Zoe, I won't let you suffer this humiliation for nothing. He immediately called the director of our company's PR department. Release a statement right away. Use the strongest language possible. Make it clear the Carter Group has no ties to the Walker family, none now, and never in the future. That was it. The gloves were off. My father's words exploded like a deep-sea bomb, shaking the entire business circle. And right then, Alex's gift arrived at the perfect moment. Screenshots of Monica colluding with online promoters, hiring bots to smear me, filled the feeds, chat logs, payment records, every shred of evidence laid bare. The proof was irrefutable. Public opinion flipped instantly. Monica was cornered, forced to post an apology late at night. Her words sounded sincere, but she pushed all the blame onto his parents. It was only because of what they told me that I misunderstood Zoe. I made a terrible mistake in my confusion. Well, she had at least learned the first lesson I gave her, throwing her family under the bus when the storm got too fierce. But afterward, Ethan began appearing at my door constantly, lowering himself, trying to make amends. The gifts he sent piled up at the gate, jewelry, limited edition handbags, anything he thought might move me. But not a single person in my family wavered. The butler blocked him at the entrance again and again. My parents didn't even bother to show their faces. A few days later, his patience finally snapped. The moment I came home, his car was parked right at the gates of the estate. He stepped out, and this time there was no trace of humble pleading. Instead, his face carried an edge of anger and humiliation. "Zoe Carter, must you really push things this far?" I stared coldly at him. "You were the one who pushed things this far first." He let out a sharp laugh and strode closer, his eyes gleaming with naked threat. "Don't forget, half of Lily Adams's business relies on the Walker family's support. And Mason Wu, his company's biggest partner, is also us. Do you really want to ruin your friends' futures just to keep rejecting me?" My fists clenched at my sides, shameless. Seeing my face pale, he seemed satisfied, his tone softening, even turning pleading. Then, in the next second, he did something that shocked everyone. Right there, in front of the guards and servants at my gate, Ethan Walker dropped to his knees on the cold ground. "Zoe, if you hadn't come back, I could have pretended none of this ever happened. I would never have bothered you again in my life. But now that you're here..." He lifted his head, eyes bloodshot. "I can't let go. When we were 20, under the fireworks outside campus, I promised you, you'd be the only one by my side for the rest of my life." Around us, sobs rose from onlookers, but I only found it ridiculous, absurd. I turned on my heel, walked inside, and grabbed a long-handled broom from the corner. Striding back out, I swung it with all my strength, striking him across the back. "Ethan Walker, have you no shame?" I raised the broom again, glaring at the staff nearby. "Bring me my phone. Record this. Ethan Walker, if you dare show up here to harass me again, just try it. My boyfriend will be back from England any day now, and we're getting engaged immediately." The look on his face froze, and I only smiled colder. "Yes, Ethan, you have connections everywhere, partnerships with all kinds of people. But so what? My boyfriend may not have the vast power and influence you do, Ethan, but he has his own ways to make sure your family can't live in peace, ways that could drive your business into the ground. If you don't care, then by all means keep testing me." When Alex finally arrived in China, the engagement I had mentioned only as a last straw to break Ethan's will ended up being taken seriously by my parents. 3 days later, the Carter family formally announced my engagement to Alex. The wording was official, the tone resolute, and overnight, the Walkers became the biggest laughingstock in town. The night the news went public, a torrential rainstorm hit. Heavy drops slammed against the villa's glass windows, echoing like gunfire. That was when Ethan appeared. He hadn't driven, he stood at the gates, drenched to the bone, like a stray dog abandoned by the entire world. The smell of alcohol and rain clung to him, pitiful and desperate. The guards blocked his way, but he was crazed, pounding his fists against the cold iron gate. "Zoe Carter, come out!" From the second-floor window, I looked down at him with nothing but indifference. Alex came to my side, slipping a cup of hot milk into my hand. He followed my gaze downwards. "Zoe, tell me, why did you even come back to China?" Ethan's cries tore through the storm, thick with congestion and despair. "If you hadn't come back, everything would still be fine. If you hadn't come back, I wouldn't have had hope. I wouldn't have become this low, this pathetic." I sipped the milk without expression. What a ridiculous logic. In his mind, as long as I stayed gone forever, he could rest easy, clinging to his marriage and business. It was me, my return, that had broken his fragile illusion. "You came back, which means you forgave me, right? Isn't that what it means?" His voice was thick with self-pity and entitlement. "They say chasing after someone too late is like standing at the crematorium. I've already done enough. What more do you want from me? Haven't 3 years been enough? I've declared my love for you to the whole world, even while married. What more do you want?" Beside me, Alex's brow furrowed hard. He couldn't stand to listen any longer. He pulled me by the hand, leading me downstairs. The heavy villa doors groaned open, and icy rain swept in with the wind. Alex shielded me with his body, and in halting but firm Chinese he leveled each word at the man outside. "Why? Why should he? Why should Alex never come back to China because of you?" Ethan's bloodshot eyes whipped toward him. "Who do you think you are?" Alex stepped forward, unflinching. "Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is, you're trash, a shameless man. Your so-called devotion means nothing." Ethan lunged like a madman, reaching for my hand. "Zoe, come back to me. I'll give you everything, my business, all of it. I'll kick Monica out, send her abroad. We can go back to how it was, please." I yanked my hand away with disgust, my laugh as sharp as a blade. Ethan Walker, look at yourself. How much of your business has already been infiltrated by the West family's people? Can you even make your own decisions anymore? His face went ghostly pale. I pressed on, my voice like ice. If you truly had control, you never would have agreed to your parents' arrangement, never would have married Monica in the first place. With that, the last veil was ripped away. All his so-called devotion, all his promises, were built on sand he never truly controlled. One gust of wind, and it all collapsed. Ethan staggered back a few steps, then turned and stumbled into the storm, his figure swallowed by the darkness. I thought Ethan's breakdown would be the end of this farce. I never imagined it was only the beginning of something bloodier. Because out of nowhere, Monica was suddenly pregnant. The news of Monica's pregnancy became the final straw that shattered Ethan Walker's sanity. He couldn't question it publicly, so he brooded in silence, spiraling into nights of staying out, drowning himself in alcohol. Then, one drunken night, he turned all his bitterness and resentment into fists and took it out on Monica. The child was gone. She was beaten into a miscarriage. Bruised and broken, Monica stumbled back to her family for help, but the West's reply was ice cold. We don't interfere in our daughter's marriage. What a convenient excuse. In truth, they were simply afraid of tearing ties with the Walkers, unwilling to jeopardize the tangled web of shared interests between the two families. And so Monica was sent back into that hell. What began as one incident of domestic abuse turned into countless more. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. The once calculating woman, who had always been driven by ambition and greed, fell into utter despair and chose the most brutal way to drag everyone down with her. She compiled every shred of evidence she had gathered of the Walkers and the West's tax evasion and fraudulent accounts, packaged them all, and sent them directly to the tax bureau. The thunderclap was instant. Ethan snapped completely. On another stormy night, he gripped Monica by the throat, dragging her to the top of the second-floor staircase, his face twisted in rage. You ruined me? Don't think you'll live either. In the next moment, he let go. Monica fell like a broken doll, tumbling down the stairs. I read about it the next morning in the news. Ethan Walker had been arrested for assault with intent to harm. Monica was left paralyzed from the waist down, condemned to spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. The Walker and West families, exposed for massive tax fraud, were investigated and shut down. Overnight, their towering empires collapsed into rubble, their reputations shattered, and those once untouchable businesses, after liquidation, fell neatly into the hands of Lily Adams's company. When I called her, she was in the middle of signing a new contract. On the other end of the line, her voice rang with triumph. Zoe, can you believe it? Some debts always come due. 6 months later, Alex and I set our wedding date. Before flying back to the UK to register our marriage, we visited the prison. Behind thick bulletproof glass, I saw Ethan again. He wore the blue and white striped uniform, the oversized clothes hanging limply on his thinned frame. His head was shaved down to stubble, exposing his ashen scalp. And those peach blossom eyes I had once drowned in, now they were murky, hollow, nothing more than stagnant pools of water. His dull gaze lingered on my face for a long time before he seemed to finally recognize me. Gone was the arrogance, gone was the madness, gone was even the pitiful begging. Do you regret it? I asked him. Regret hurting me back then? Regret the years of harassment that followed? Or regret destroying everyone's lives, including your own? His lips moved, but no sound came out. I had no patience to wait any longer. That's it then. I'm leaving. Just as I turned away, his voice rasped through the receiver, harsh as sandpaper. Tell me, why did you come back to China? The same question again. I stopped but didn't turn back. I only pressed the phone to my ear. If I hadn't come back, how could I have erased you completely from my world? On the other end was a silence as heavy as death, followed by his ragged breathing. What do you mean by that? He started laughing. First a stifled, broken laugh, then an uncontrollable, manic cackle. What do you mean, Zoe Carter? He slammed himself against the glass, banging his forehead against it, his bloodshot eyes fixed on my back. It was you. You gave Monica your flight information, didn't you? That scene at the airport, you set it up so he'd see, didn't you? All of this, every bit of it, was your plan, wasn't it? Wasn't it? I didn't acknowledge his madness behind me. Half a year ago, When Ethan sent me that email saying he would pick me up at the airport, I had indeed forwarded it along to Monica. I hadn't written anything else in that email, just attached a smiling face. At the time, I only wanted to spite him, to let him know that the marriage he thought was so solid was nothing but a joke in my eyes. But many of the things that followed were not of my doing. They came from Ethan Walker's greed, from Monica West's jealousy and schemes, from Mrs. Walker's willingness to intervene. Step by step, they pushed themselves off the cliff. All I did was loosen the stone already crumbling beneath their feet. If anything, I should thank them. Thank Monica. Thank Mrs. Walker. Without their meddling, I might have had to put in far more effort to finally shake Ethan Walker off completely. Behind me, the prison gates closed slowly with a heavy thud. Outside, the sunlight was warm and bright. Alex stood under a camphor tree not far away, dressed simply in a white shirt. When he saw me, his eyes curved as he smiled. The light filtered through the overlapping leaves, scattering across his figure in dappled shadows, gentle, quiet, fleeting, and breathtakingly beautiful. That was the beginning of everything new for me. Epilogue. Ethan, I used to think I had everything: family, business, and the woman who once loved me. I thought I was smart, untouchable, the kind of man who could control everything with the snap of his fingers. But when it came to Zoe Carter, I destroyed everything with my own hands. 3 years ago, at her birthday party, I thought I was protecting Monica. I told myself I couldn't let her be humiliated, that ending things with Zoe was the only way. But the truth was, I was weak. I didn't dare to stand up for her. I chose the easier road, and in doing so, I shattered the only person who had ever loved me without conditions. When Zoe left, I thought I could bury the ache with work, with marriage, with responsibility. But every night, her face came back to me in the dark. Every laugh, every look in her eyes. The memory of what I threw away has gnawed at me for 3 years straight, and when she came back, I thought it was fate giving me a chance. I chased, I begged, I humiliated myself. I told myself I was fighting for love, but all I did was push her further away. My so-called devotion wasn't love, it was obsession. I wanted her forgiveness, but what I really wanted was to erase the guilt that's been drowning me since the day I let go of her hand. Now I sit here behind bars, stripped of everything: the company, the family name, even Monica, who lies broken because of me. And Zoe. She stands outside the gates in the sunlight with a man who loves her the way I should have, the way I never did. Do I regret it? Every breath I take is regret. Regret for hurting her. Regret for clinging to her when she wanted peace. Regret for destroying myself and everyone around me. But the cruelest truth is this: even if I regret it 1,000 times over, nothing will ever undo what I did. Zoe has a new life now, shining, untouched by me. And I am nothing but the shadow of a man who once had the chance to be worthy of her, and threw it all away.